much for that really incredibly warm welcome, and thank you to your commitment to this campaign that will deliver a positive change for South Australia. To my leadership team, state and federal parliamentary colleagues, our fantastic candidates, former premiers and members of parliament, and to all of our amazing Liberal Party volunteers and supporters here today. Across South Australia, there is a growing group of people who feel forgotten. They work hard, they pay their bills, they look after their families, but they don't feel heard anymore. Some are even drifting away from the major parties, some are turning to protest votes. Not because they agree with everything that those parties stand for, but because they feel let down by governments who haven't delivered for them. And that frustration is real. More than 80 years ago, Sir Robert Menzies spoke about the forgotten people. Australians who carried the country on their shoulders, who asked for very little, who just wanted a fair go in return for hard work. Those forgotten people are still here today. They're opening power bills that they can't believe and wondering how their kids can afford a home in the state that they love. They're waiting hours in emergency departments and watching small businesses struggle. Because when the events are over and the lights go down, what have we actually got from this government? The answer is disappointment. The disappointment of promises that have been made but not kept. And they want a government that's focused on the important things. My team and I are here to offer that choice at the next election. A Liberal team that is listening, ready to act and ready to govern. And that is why I'm proud to lead our Liberal team, the very party that built modern South Australia, and the party that made important decisions to set up our state for the future. We believe in reward for effort, we believe in freedom of the individual, we believe in lower taxes, and we believe that strong families build strong communities. We believe in efficient government that backs enterprise, supports aspiration and provides a strong safety net so that every single South Australian can reach their full potential. Those very values built this state. The founders of the modern Liberal Party, Sir Robert Menzies and Sir Thomas Playford, understood a simple truth. To build a great society, you must first build a great economy. And that philosophy delivered affordable housing, reliable electricity, strong industries, and the confidence to start families and build lives here in South Australia. Liberal governments built the infrastructure and the industries that have carried South Australia forward. They secured water supplies, transformed industries, opened our economy to the world, built our international airport and created the Olympic Dam mine. Still, our most significant economic asset that Labor fought tooth and nail. And when Labor's state bank collapse crushed South Australia, Liberal governments restored the state's finances, and with them, our sense of confidence and our sense of pride. Most recently, the Marshall government delivered a proud legacy. It reversed the brain drain, secured defence and space industries, rebuilt TAFE and restored apprenticeships, led the nation on phonics and literacy, cut payroll tax, reduced water and electricity bills, halved the emergency services levy and cut a wide range of other fees and charges. Let alone in health, it was the South Australian Liberal Party that revitalised the repat after Peter Malinauskas closed that hospital. And never forget that our Labor Premier is the only health minister in living memory to actually close a hospital. And we did all of that during a once-in-a-century, once-in-a-generation global pandemic. So the record is clear. When South Australia needs the important things done, Liberals get them done. When Labor leaves a mess, Liberals clean it up. And when the state is heading in the wrong direction, Liberals turn it around. And now in 2026, we need to get the important things right again. Complacency will take us backwards. Businesses are making decisions about their future here, and so too are our next generation. And I don't want my son Rupert, or any kid in South Australia, to think that their best future lies somewhere else. But if we don't get the fundamentals right, our future prosperity is at risk. And that's why this election is about getting the important things right for South Australia. We need South Australians' cost of living to be affordable. We need South Australians to be able to afford a home. We need South Australia to have a better health system for patients and staff. And we need South Australia to be a safe place to live and to raise a family. Under 4 years of Labor, we've gone backwards in all of these fundamental areas of government responsibility, and South Australians do deserve better. So today we are asking South Australians to give our Liberal team the responsibility of governing this great state for the next 4 years. We don't underestimate the challenge ahead. We are taking on an arrogant, incumbent Labor government, and make no mistake, this Premier and his henchmen, they believe that they've got this next election in the bag. There is no doubt that the weeks ahead will require fortitude, it'll need discipline and hard work, but we are up to the task. We are. As you've heard me say, we are climbing Mount Everest, but Mount Everest has been climbed before. And when I became the leader, I thought very deeply about what this role requires. And like many of us, my background and upbringing shaped who I am today. I was born and raised in the Barossa Valley and feel beyond proud to represent them and the Northern Adelaide Hills in the State Parliament. My family has lived and worked in South Australia since 1850, when my great-great-great-grandfather, William Hurn, settled in Angaston after arriving from England. And after years of hard work, he saved enough to buy his own land and start his own orchard. For more than 170 years, that land has been worked, improved, and passed on, each generation building on what came before it. And growing up on a family farm, it teaches you something very clearly. There are no shortcuts. You succeed when you plan ahead and you work hard. You are only rewarded for the effort that you put in. There's no spin, and there's no one else to blame. For almost 200 years, people have come to South Australia with dreams of opportunity, but no dream has ever been realised without hard work. And that belief sits at the very heart of the Liberal Party. A lot of important things to get through. Thanks for that clap. But over the last 4 years, Labor's decisions have made it harder for South Australians who are working harder. And you know why? Because they've not been focused. Really focused on getting the important things right for South Australia. Under Labor, we have the most expensive power in the nation, and it is crippling families and businesses. Our patients and paramedics have spent more than 160,000 hours stuck outside of our hospitals, desperate to get inside for the care that they need. The justice system has become a revolving door. Young offenders arrested, then back out on bail in the blink of an eye again, only to re-offend yet again. And regional communities, well, they're treated like a second-class jurisdiction, just expected to accept diminished government services and investment compared to metropolitan Adelaide. And our precious coastline, it's been absolutely devastated by the algal bloom, impacting not only our environment, but vital industries like tourism and fisheries, and some of our most iconic leisure activities. Labor turned up with its package after the algal bloom had already wrecked the lives of thousands of South Australians. These are the important things that the government hasn't got right. It's because they've taken their eye off the ball. And Labor's failures in government are starkly highlighted by their failures to deliver on their three biggest election promises. Their promise to deliver universal 3-year-old preschool by 2026 is now set to be completed 6 years late in 2032, if at all. And their biggest economic promise, their hydrogen power plant, which they promised would lower power bills and create a brand new industry for this state, has been humiliatingly abandoned after taxpayer funds have been gambled away. A lazy $500 million. And then there's ramping. The one thing that Peter Malinauskas wanted everyone in this state to know before the last election, that he would be the guy that was going to fix ramping. It was so urgent that people needed to vote like their life depended on it. Never have hopes been raised so high, only to be dashed so spectacularly. Usually, the most dangerous square metre of real estate in South Australia is the space between Peter Malinauskas and a TV camera. But month after month, when the ramping data is released, this bloke is just nowhere to be seen. He's there for the fun times and the good news, but he's never around to face the music when it really matters. And that is Labor's record. Do or say anything to get elected and take no responsibility for the consequences. And every promise that Peter Malinauskas makes this election campaign must be taken with a pinch of salt for that exact reason. But there is hope. And hope starts with leadership that shows up, tells the truth, and takes responsibility. South Australia can take a different direction. Our Liberal team is proposing a comprehensive policy program that we will deliver. We will deliver what we say. And let me be clear about what that looks like. It starts with a clear focus on making our state more affordable for families and businesses. That begins with reliable electricity so we can put the handbrake on our power bills. We will secure gas-fired electricity generation for South Australia to stabilise our grid into the future. And we will put affordability ahead of ideology when it comes to energy in this state. And we do this so that families don't sweat every single time they get their bills and that businesses can get ahead. I was meeting with an iconic South Australian business recently who was pulling their hair out because their revenue is up 19%. That's fantastic for them. But their power bills, up 43% in the exact same period. Our businesses can't be expected to grow and succeed if they are hamstrung like this by rising energy costs. And alongside energy, it's vital that we restore the dream of home ownership. And let's just be clear about how hard that has become. Young people, they're doing everything right. They're saving, they're working overtime, they're putting off holidays, some are even putting off starting a family. And yet every single week, our house prices move further and further out of reach. Adelaide is now the 6th least affordable place in the world to buy a home. In the world, second only to Sydney in Australia, and our median house price is pushing $1 million. Adult children, well, they're moving back with their parents, not because they want to, but because they feel like they've got no other option. And renters are facing increases that they simply can't absorb. That's not the Australian dream. A home shouldn't be a luxury item. It should be a realistic goal for anyone who puts their mind to it and anyone who is willing to work for it. And that's why we'll act stamp duty for first home buyers on existing homes up to $1 million. Not only does this go some way to restoring that dream of home ownership, but That is real money kept in the pockets of hard-working South Australians instead of going to the government. And we'll support people to downsize, freeing up family homes, strengthening supply, and helping more South Australians move into the right home for their stage of life. And so today I announce that a new Liberal government will give older South Australians looking to downsize a $15,000 stamp duty discount. And immediately free up thousands of larger homes across South Australia. This will open the doors for young and growing families who, under this Labor government, have been completely frozen out of the market. This policy will also allow those over 55 to receive a much-needed cut in the amount of stamp duty that they pay on their next home. This will stimulate the market and revive the housing cycle where one generation passes the home on to the next. I mean, why should older South Australians be penalised for wanting a smaller and more manageable property? Especially when the government is bringing in record stamp duty receipts. As Liberals, we know that every tax dollar comes out of the pockets of hard-working South Australians, and that the costs of ever-growing red tape and regulation are a handbrake on our economy. And that's why we'll lower taxes for small businesses. First up, by lifting the payroll tax threshold to $2.1 million and exempting trainees and individuals from payroll tax altogether. How mad is it that businesses have to pay payroll tax on trainees and apprentices in the first place? Meanwhile, we'll also offer immediate and targeted cost of living relief for families, including slashing public transport fares to just 50 cents a ride, which could save a family of four around $100 a week, and will scrap Labor's GP payroll tax grab. Abolishing the GP payroll tax also has a health benefit. So does our policy to extend opening hours for GP clinics. It's all about taking a system-wide approach to take the pressure off our health system and off our emergency departments, which are buckling with record ramping. Behind every ramping statistic, there's a patient waiting in pain. Behind every delayed surgery, there's a family who's under extraordinary stress. And behind every exhausted nurse, doctor, paramedic, healthcare worker is someone who keeps showing up, even when the system is stretched to breaking point. Now, we've witnessed some tragic circumstances in the health system over the last 4 years. We've got Sue, a retired nurse of more than 50 years and an Anguston local like me. She was on the wait list to see a surgeon for her shoulder for 3 years. Shoulders that are so bad from her nursing days that she can barely dress herself anymore. She can't do the cooking. We have Eddie, who waited 10 times longer than he should have for an ambulance, which ended in tragedy. All under a Premier whose central promise it was to fix ramping. But today it's worse than ever before. Not just by a little bit, but by a country mile. And a Liberal government will treat healthcare as the priority that it is. We will back our healthcare workers, grow the workforce, work to make it easier to see a GP, and retain the Women's and Children's Hospital as a health precinct. We will expand capacity, reduce pressure across the system, and work directly with clinicians on practical solutions. Health is critically important, but equally as important is keeping our community safe. It's a fundamental role of any government. But every day we see and hear the stories of violence in businesses, and we see it in our streets. And we will back our police with the resources that they need to keep us safe. We will crack down on criminals and fast-track reform of breaches of bail. Under our plan, if a criminal breaks bail, they will face jail. Our one-strike laws will become some of the toughest in the country to make sure that crime has consequences. We will provide new incentives to attract and retain police officers and establish a $40 million Breaking the Cycle fund to focus on early intervention and rehabilitation programs for high-risk criminals. Labor's forgotten about crime, and they've forgotten about our regions as well. I often say that without our farmers, we'd be hungry, naked, and sober. And it's true. They grow our food, they drive our exports, and they power our industries. Yet for too long, country families have been asked to accept less. Less healthcare, less reliable roads, less support during drought and disaster. And kids who grow up in the country shouldn't feel like they have to leave their community to succeed. They should be able to build a future right where they are. And that will be our focus through practical policies. And that starts with investing $1 billion over 4 years to help address South Australia's road maintenance backlog. It's the biggest road maintenance investment in the state history. We'll be announcing more critical pieces of policy over the coming weeks, important policies for our regions, and I can guarantee you this. We will always stand with our regions, and we will always want them to succeed. And under a government that I lead, regional South Australia won't just be an afterthought. It'll be front and centre, because when regions are strong, our whole state is strong. Over the course of the campaign, we'll continue to announce more policies for South Australians and give people a choice. Now, I don't know if you've picked up on this at all, but there are a few people who are writing us off this election. But we are determined to fight, and we will give South Australians a choice. We will. It'll be a choice between a more affordable South Australia for families and businesses with the Liberals, or more of the same, more waste under Labor. It'll be a choice between a better health system for patients and staff, or more record ramping under Labor. A choice between safer suburbs and strong communities, or more crime without consequences under Labor. The team I lead is a team of real South Australians. Real South Australians, from farming, business, healthcare, education, defence and emergency services backgrounds. People who are genuinely motivated to serve their communities, not themselves, and to ultimately make our future better. When I think of the future, I think of my little boy, little Rupert. I want him, and indeed I want every single young South Australian to know that their future is here. They can buy a home here. They can start a family here, build a career here, start a business here, rely on world-class health system and health services here, and feel safe here. Most of all, I want them to be confident in the future and to know that the best days of South Australia and the best days of our state are still ahead. That's personal for me, for our team, and it's personal for South Australians. Standing here today are the very people who made me who I am. My parents, William and Sandy, my brother Shannon is listening somewhere, my husband Adam, son Rupert, and my extended family and friends. They taught me the value of hard work, being all in, and being true to your values. And their belief in me and in what we are all trying to achieve together is why I can do this job. So I love you, and I thank you so much. slogans or spin, who can do the best PR. It's not about the Premier's ego, even though he might like it to be, or how many insults Tom Coops and Toners can hurl around. It's not about short-term politics either. It's about whether South Australia moves forward or slips further behind. It's about whether families feel hopeful or frustrated. It's about whether our kids see opportunity here or somewhere else. I do believe in this state. I believe in the people of this state. And I believe that with the right leadership, South Australia's best days are still ahead. It will take discipline, it will take hard choices, and it will take a government that is prepared to do the work. And that is what we offer. Today we launch our Liberal campaign, not just to win an election, but to change the direction of South Australia by getting the important things right. A Liberal government will get the important things right. A Liberal government will keep its promises. And a Liberal government will restore confidence in South Australia's future. Everyone in this room wants change. So let's get out and fight for it.